Claire, if one day my life stays like this, no savings, no big house, would you still stay with me? Claire stopped eating. She looked at Evan seriously, then took a deep breath. I'm not looking for a luxurious life, Evan, she said softly. I'm looking for a partner who is honest, responsible, and who won't leave me when things get hard. What happened after this really changed everything. At 28 years old, Evan Miller should have been living his best life. In New York, his name was known as the youngest, CEO of a rapidly growing financial technology company. But behind expensive suits and impressive numbers, Evan carried a fear he never shared with anyone. He was afraid of being loved for his money. That afternoon, Evan stood in front of a mirror inside a small apartment he rented under a fake name. Not his Manhattan penthouse, but a modest unit in Queens. He wore a worn jacket, shoes cracked at the edges, and a cheap unbranded watch. Today he was going to meet Claire. Claire was a woman he had met 6 months earlier at a community soup kitchen. Evan came as a volunteer, pretending to be a man who had lost his job. Claire came every week to help serve food, with no cameras, no attention, just sincerity. Claire was 26 years old, a nursing intern. She didn't know who Evan really was, and that was exactly why Evan fell in love with her. They often sat on a park bench after volunteering, sharing simple stories. Evan talked about struggling to find work. Claire listened without pity, without judgment. That evening was different. Evan invited Claire to dinner at a small restaurant, not a fancy place. I can only afford to treat you here, Evan said softly, almost embarrassed. Claire smiled warmly. I came for you, not the place. Those words pierced Evan's heart deeper than anything else. In the middle of dinner, Evan looked at Claire. His hand trembled slightly. Claire, if one day my life stays like this, no savings, no big house, would you still stay with me? Claire stopped eating. She looked at Evan seriously, then took a deep breath. I'm not looking for a luxurious life, Evan, she said softly. I'm looking for a partner who is honest, responsible, and who won't leave me when things get hard. Evan lowered his head. His chest felt tight. This test was becoming unbearable, because the more he loved Claire, the more afraid he was of losing her. Claire reached for his hand. You're a good person. That's enough for me. That night, as they parted ways at the subway station, Evan stood alone for a long time. He realized, if Claire could love him as a poor man, then the truth one day might become the greatest test of their lives. Weeks after that dinner, Evan struggled to maintain his disguise. Every morning, he left the small apartment in Queens wearing the same worn jacket. But 2 blocks away, a company car waited to take him back to Manhattan, where he became the respected CEO once again. In every meeting, every major decision, one face stayed in his mind. Claire. And one question haunted him. How much longer could he lie to the woman he loved? One night, heavy rain poured down. Evan and Claire stood under a bus stop shelter after Claire finished a long hospital shift. Her nurse uniform was wet, her face exhausted. What's wrong? Claire asked, noticing Evan's silence. Evan took a deep breath. I got a job offer, he said. A stable job, but it requires me to be honest about many things. Claire looked at him, waiting. I was never completely honest about my life, Evan continued, his voice trembling. I was afraid that if you knew who I really am, you would change. Claire was quiet for a moment, then said, the truth can hurt, Evan, but long lies hurt even more. The next day, Evan took Claire to a tall building in the city center. Claire thought it was just the office where Evan had applied for work. She looked nervous, holding her bag tightly. When the elevator opened on the top floor, Claire froze. The room was wide, surrounded by glass walls overlooking New York City. On the main wall were the words, Evan Miller, CEO. Claire slowly turned to him. Her face turned pale. What is this? She whispered. Evan took off his worn jacket. For the first time, he stood without any disguise. I own this company, he said honestly. I pretended to be poor because I wanted to know if someone could love me without seeing my wealth. Tears fell from Claire's eyes. So all this was an act? Her voice shook. My feelings were never fake. Evan stepped closer. I loved you before you knew anything about me. Claire wiped her tears and walked toward the window, staring at the city. She stayed silent for a long time. I'm angry, she finally said. Not because you're rich, but because you didn't trust me from the beginning. Evan lowered his head. I was wrong. Silence filled the room until Claire turned back. But I also see something, she said softly. You chose to live simply with me, even though you could have shown off and walked away any time. Evan looked at her with hope. I didn't fall in love with your money, Claire continued. I fell in love with the man who sat with me on a park bench, who was afraid of losing me, and who was willing to be ordinary. Evan knelt down, not with an expensive ring, just a small, simple box. I don't know how to love perfectly, he said, but I want to learn with you as my true self. Will you be my wife? Claire smiled through her tears. Next time, don't test love with lies, she said. And yes, I will. A few months later, they had a simple wedding. No excessive luxury. Claire continued working as a nurse. Evan remained a CEO, but now he returned home to a life built on honesty. Because Evan finally understood one thing. True love is not born from wealth, but from the courage to be yourself.